next YouTube series was going to be this interview series where I had planned to interview some people in the sewing community who are doing interesting things, are interesting, influential, all that. And I sent out the pitches, I created the interviews, and most of those people, at least the first batch, said no or haven't responded. So I'm going to do a little series where I'm going to talk about those people, and I'm going to ask a few of the questions that I would have asked in the interview. I put a lot of work into that, and it would have been nice if it would have happened, but it's not, and that's okay. Sometimes things don't happen. So in this first one, I am going to be talking about Sew Relative. They have sewn a lot of stuff, all kinds of patterns from all kinds of people, and they have probably a really broad idea, depth on sewing and the landscape and community that would be a great conversation to be had. Sew Relative is not a person, but two. It is a page used by two sisters, Elenor and Jessica, and they have their own respective pages. This is Eleanor's page. It shows her sewing content, but also her life, as well as Jessica. Jessica was on the Sewing Bee, which I thought was so interesting. I think I should note and say these are not American creators. What I really, really love about the two of them is that they have completely different styles, and they don't try to mix their page so that they look like one person. I think that is something that is really, I feel like that is something I should really highlight, because people who create these pages together, friends, whatever, they try to make their Instagram, their social media feeds to be cohesive where they're like the same person, and they don't. They have two visibly different styles. I think that is so fun, that is so cute, that is so sibling, right? Did I mention that they're actually sisters? Some questions that I would ask them is about their decision to keep their content looking like themselves individually instead of it looking like one person. Was that on purpose? Did they choose that, or did they just say, hey, let's make this page and we're just gonna post, and it wasn't a conversation, but that's how they post? Another question that I would ask is, do they find that people do not realize that this is two people when they follow? I know I didn't. I can't even tell you which person that I saw on this page that made me follow them, but I did not know that this was two different people. I thought I followed one person until one day I actually clicked on the profile and was like, this is not the same person? I would ask Jessica, how was the Great British Sewing Bee? How has that changed your sewing? What was those challenges like? Because we know that sewing on a time frame does not make your garments come out as nice. And also, would she do it again? I know that Elenor has a partner. Sometimes she sews for him. I would ask her about that. How does that go? Does he bring you stuff? I know sometimes my husband brings me stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'll make it for you. And I don't make her stuff. So does he tease her about it? Does she say, oh, I'm gonna make you this stuff, and doesn't do it as often? Because I know that's me. I would also love to know, how has Joanne closing affected them? Because Joanne is American, and I know it was very pivotal for some other brands Ribbon Company and the Bias Tape Company and the Big Four Patterns. And how has that affected their experience? Because I would love to know how all of that works and happens, because how it happens here and how it affects us does not affect them in the same way if it has affected them so drastically, because they have other sources. I would also love to know if Elenor is the competition type, since Jessica's the one that went on the Great British Sewing Bee, and if they have little competitions with each other and what that's like. I would also ask them questions like, do they have any interest, or are they going to take what they've built separately and together some way in person? It is so easy for people to tell you, you've built this community, you've done all of this, are you going to monetize, yada, yada, yada. And I think that they make content just for the love of making content and sewing and sharing. I would definitely want to know if they have plans on that. And if they not, that's perfectly fine. But it's interesting, at least for me in this day and age, to think there are in this side sewing, especially considering everybody wants to be a pattern maker, everybody is making patterns and all of that. if they're just going to sit in what they do best or try something new. If you have never heard of them, I suggest that you go follow Elenor and Jessica, the sister duo who is sharing their makes, their inside, their love for sewing without really asking you to buy or do anything for them. They're just doing it. And I know I can't wait to see what they do if they do anything next.